South Africa is not broken. It is being broken daily by our failure to act. Those were the words of the young participant in one of the community dialogues. Words that struck me, not only for their truth, but for their urgency. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Asamahle Tungu. I'm a scholar of religion and African politics, and I have engaged in intersection of justice, power, and public life. Today, I speak to you as a co-chairperson of EPG, overseeing this national dialogue. I open up this dialogue with a clarity of purpose to confront the realities we have been avoiding, such as poverty, inequality, division, and violence. In addition, we must forge a path forward based not on blame, but shared responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not alone. Allow me to introduce my fellow teammates. Speaker number 2, Jabulile Ntika, who leads the preparatory engagement on poverty, inequality, and hunger, reminding us that hunger in South Africa was a human face, often disadvantaged rural communities. On speaker number 3, we have Kiamkhetsi Tamaga, who will explore on the distressing factors of social cohesion and nation building. We are too often a group of people living side by side, not together. But the vision puts forward practical ideas led to promote a spirit of patriotism and reclaiming our public spaces as places of connection. On speaker number 4, we have Asiphe Jaha, who leads the difficult conversation on gender-based violence and safety. In every 3 hours, a woman is murdered. This is a nation crisis. But when our dialogue draws to a close, we will be honored to hear from the chairperson of the National Dialogue Steering Committee, Nancy Mutsamai, who will give us the journey ahead and outline the roadmap beyond this dialogue. In conclusion, what kind of a country will we become if we choose comfort over courage? But more importantly, what kind of a country will we become if we act together? Let these questions be an echo in every room today as I hand over to speaker number 2. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable Chairperson, fellow debaters, and members of the audience, I am Jabulile Ntika, and I stand before you to address the pressing issues of poverty, inequality, and hunger. When we talk about hunger, we are not only speaking of an empty stomach. Hunger is the denial of dignity, the waste of potential, and the delay of justice. It shows the weakness in our humanity, our government, and our shared responsibility. Let me share an example of action. I was born in Potchefstroom Northwest, and after years, I qualified as a medical doctor in 1984. Later, I started the Gift of Givers Foundation, now Africa's biggest disaster relief organization. We have helped in more than 20 countries by providing food, clean water, healthcare, education, and emergency support. This work proves that hunger is not natural. It can be defeated with unity, courage, and compassion. Many families go hungry because of low wages, unemployment, lack of healthcare, and poor housing. Economic problems alone cause about 2/3 of homelessness. According to the Stats SA, homelessness in South Africa has grown from 13,135 in 1996 to over 55,000 in 2022. This shows how inequality continues to deny people their basic needs. But there are solutions. Community food gardens and small farming projects can work together to help families grow their own food. Supporting small soup kitchens at schools and clinics can make sure that children don't go to bed hungry. Supporting small businesses with startup capital and mentorship gives people a chance to earn a living. Skills training centers for plumbing, carpentry, tailoring, and farming can create more jobs. And importantly, equal pay for equal work must be respected, no matter a person's race, gender, or background. Anti-discrimination laws and equal opportunity policies must protect everyone's right to fair access and growth. To make this real, government, NGOs, and businesses must work together. They must fund food security programs, create jobs, and share resources fairly. This is not just good to do. It is required by our Constitution. Every South African has the right to food, shelter, and dignity. No child should sleep hungry in a country of plenty. Ladies and gentlemen, hunger is not far away. It is here, in our homes and communities. We must fight it with urgency, compassion, and courage. Let us follow those who acted, and let us be leaders of change ourselves. I am Jabulile Njinga, and I leave you with a thought. Hunger is not inevitable, but injustice is preventable. I now hand over to our third speaker, Keamohetse Thamaga. Over to you.
Thank you. What does it really mean to love your country? Is it about waving flags on national holidays, or is it about standing together when our nation is divided? Social cohesion and nation building are the foundations of any strong country. Yet today we struggle to spark the genuine patriotism in the face of inequality, cultural differences, and mistrust. Without unity, a dream of a truly united South Africa will remain out of reach. I am Keamohetse Thamaga, a son of New Brighton, a witness of apartheid, and a learner in this democracy we are shaping. Consider yourself saluted. Social cohesion happens when we see diversity as strength and when every child feels equally recognized. But we cannot build a nation where poverty, inequality, and corruption are left unchecked. Patriotism is not blind obedience. It is not about symbols alone. It is about action, fighting corruption, protecting the weak, and promoting fairness. It means teaching our children the truth of our history so that they grow up with courage, resilience, and hope. To move forward, we need three things. Firstly, a shared moral foundation of respect across race, gender, and class. Secondly, media that tells new stories. Thirdly, a public work program that gives unemployed youth a role in shaping our nation. This is how we build our nation with pride and unity together. Through my work in films like Sizobani is Dead and The Islands, I have seen how stories can shift thinking, widen perspective, and inspire change. But we must admit the truth. Patriotism is still held back by the divisions and inequalities that leave many South Africans feeling excluded. To overcome this, we need honesty, inclusion, and participation. Here is my vision. In the next year, let's hold a national dialogue where all voices are welcomed. In the next 3 years, let's see young black women in boardrooms, disabled youth in parliament, and a country where a surname does not determine one's salary. In the next 5 years, let's hear our children say, South Africa is not only free, it is fair. In conclusion, if we truly want Ubuntu to be lived, we must nurture justice. A rainbow nation without justice is an illusion. Real nation building requires voices, values, solidarity, not just bricks and mortar. Nelson Mandela once said, a true test of a nation's soul is how it treats its most vulnerable. Remember, we are all parts of one puzzle. If one piece is missing, the whole picture is incomplete. So I ask you, what will you do today to be a piece that strengthens our country's picture? With that, I now hand over to my teammate, Asiphe Jara, who will present her ideas on how we can make South Africa a safer home for all. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. What you permit is what you promote. And what you promote becomes your legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, how many more stories of pain must be tomorrow's headlines before we disturb the silence that has become our norm? My name is Asiphe Jara, and I stand before you not just as a member of Eminent Persons Group, but as a woman who dedicated her life to building systems of justice and dignity. My journey took me from the benches of Parliament to the halls of Harvard. But the fight is this. How many more women must be buried before we act, not with empathy, but with urgency? Today, I bring three priorities to challenge the norm of gender-based violence that enables violence, advocate for clear and safety policies, and to ensure that the most vulnerable are seen, heard, and protected. Here is the truth. Over 51% of South African women have experienced gender-based violence, In just 3 months this year, 137 women were murdered, over 1,000 raped, and over 6,000 assaulted. These are the names we'll never talk again. We remember a 7-year-old raped in a schoolyard. Olerato Mongale, who was murdered after a fake date, and a woman who was killed and burned by her husband in a township called Kanana. We must break the silence with action. Ladies and gentlemen, I am calling for the rollout of emergency safe zones, for safety in schools and clinics, panic buttons, and community patrol teams trained to intervene. We need digitally accessible protection orders. Let us center justice, expand to Tuzela care centers, and train every police officer, judges, and health workers. Ladies and gentlemen, let us introduce a national sex offender registry to protect our own. Let us build a new generation where gender, consent, and respect are taught from grade 1. Finally, accountability. South African police services must publish regular gender-based violence crime data, and local leaders must be measured by lives protected. To you who relate, I see you, and I will not be silent. Your silence will never protect you. Let this not be another dialogue ends with the moment our country said, enough. As the wise man once said, change is painful, but nothing is as painful as staying stuck somewhere you don't belong. It is now my honor to hand over to the chairperson of steering committee, Nancy, a leader committed to translating this to real action. Over to you.
Thank you. The national dialogue is considered as the heartbeat of our democracy, a place where voices meet to shape a better tomorrow. But what is the use of a heartbeat if the body is still starving, bleeding, and broken? We cannot dismiss the dialogue because silence would be far worse, yet we cannot worship it either, as it risks becoming a theater of promises instead of a workshop of solutions. If this dialogue is to matter, then it must stop echoing in boardrooms and start warring in the lives of ordinary people. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Standing before you is Nensi Motsamai, and I have the honor of serving as the chairperson of the steering committee. I do not come here to lead alone, but to lead with you, to be the hand that steadies, the voice that organizes, and the ear that listens. House, according to Stats SA, approximately 55% of our population is living in poverty. 1 in 4 of children in poor households face a day without nothing to eat, and our inequality rate is at 0.67. The big question is, what kind of future are we giving our children? One where poverty is the inheritance, hunger is the daily compassion, and inequality is their destiny. A future where their lives, like those before them, will amount to nothingness. Now, ladies and gentlemen, together we can implement sustainable farming practices, climate-smart agriculture, and direct food aid, eventually contributing to reducing poverty, increasing economic growth, and creating jobs. This will take approximately 3 years if we work with people that will translate our plan into clear action. Fellow South Africans, through dialogue we can build a stronger South Africa. We can also build an inclusive society. A national dialogue, it is the foundation for unity and nation building. In year 1, we reform education, launch community councils, protect LGBTQI rights, and empower women. Year 2 to 3, we expand training, community-driven projects, and foster equality and create safe spaces. Year 4 to 5, we standardize councils, elevate youth and women leaders, and also promote cultural exchange. Beyond 5 years, trust is restored, divisions are healed, and South Africa becomes truly inclusive. Isizwe sikamthaniya. A dialogue without action is a promise unkept, and for victims of violence, unkept promises can be deadly. I, as the chairperson, have listened to your concerns, and you're allowed to ask yourselves, can empty speeches and staged discussions stop the bloodshed, assaults, and struggles we see every day? If the voice of the violated go unheard, it's a meeting full of leaders enough to protect the powerless. Ladies and gentlemen, this national dialogue is now our platform to speak up, be heard, and take action. By working together, we can stop gender-based violence and build a stronger, safer South Africa for everyone. The GBV and Safety Action Plan will take up to 5 years. The first step is to create a national survivor-led council. The second step is to educate our communities. And thirdly, we'll have to enforce and implement all the laws under Chapter 2 of Bill of Rights, primarily Sector 9, 10, and 12. Lastly, we'll enforce harsher punishments for the perpetrators of GBV. By doing so, we'll be serving justice to all the GBV victims like Olerato Mungale, Anene Boyson, Karabo Mukwena, and so on, assuring at the end a man will think twice before laying any finger on a woman. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, history will not forgive those who chose silence while the nation cried for unity. The DA and the Freedom Front Plus, by turning their backs on the national dialogue, they turned their backs on the people they claim to serve. The Oliver and Adelaide Tambo Foundation, the Tutu Foundation, and the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, by choosing to stay on the sidelines, they dishonored the legacies of the giants whose very names they carry. This is not neutrality. This is abandonment. This is not just a mistake. This is a betrayal of the nation. But let it be known, even if they abandon this cause, the people will not. We will rise, will unite, and will build the South Africa they failed to imagine. As a wise man once said, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams, and we as South Africans believe in a stronger, united, fair, and equal South Africa for all. Thank you.
My heiress